What's going on, people? It's your boy Travis, Horror Movies, Uncut Submissions, and Slashers. Hope you guys are doing great. It is Sunday, April the 7th, right at about 11 o'clock, close to 11:30 on this Sunday evening up in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm actually in the Kansas City, Kansas side, reporting to you guys live from my Airbnb as we are touching base on everything going on at Panic Fest. But welcome to episode number 58 of the Submissions and Slashers podcast. Of course, it's your host Travis from the illustrious family known as Horror Movies Uncut. As always, make sure you find us, like, subscribe at HMUNCUT. We're on YouTube and Spotify under the Submissions and Slashers channel. So, folks, as you could probably tell from my voice, the boy's a little tired, had to wake up early in the morning. Celtic versus Rangers was on at 6:30. That game was a mess. I could not even concentrate to get my day started the right way. Didn't get up to the theater till about 1 o'clock for my first film, and then powered out 3 movies today. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about the first half of Panic Fest, because this is the kind of end of the first half as we round off Sunday. A lot of people are going to be going home. A lot of people going back to Monday. Your boy's still here for a couple more days giving you guys that coverage, but the festival will slow down in regards to what's being done. You're going to go from shorts and about 3 films a day till about 2 films, but we're going to dig more into that because, like I said, that's the first thing we're going to get into is some updates on Panic Fest. After that, we're going to give some quick thoughts on all the films so far that we've seen. That's including Arcadian down from Overlook Film Festival. So we'll have a review for that. We'll have a review for Ghost Game. We got a lot of films that we're going to talk about, and we're not going to give full-length reviews since these are festivals. We are going to just give them some very, very short reviews. I got an amazing interview, speaking of Ghost Game, with Johnny Mercer, who is the assistant director of the film. My man was able to give me some time. Still got a couple interviews in the works to round up the end of the festival. So I can't wait to keep bringing that to you guys. No weird news of the week, as we're just going to kind of knock off nothing but festival coverage on this episode number 58. And then, of course, not even going to talk about what held streaming last week. So when we come back, we're going to jump right into just some initial thoughts on the first couple days of Panic Fest, and then we'll get into some movies, and then we'll talk about the second half of the festival, and we'll get into that wonderful interview. So you guys know the deal. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Don't hesitate to comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, we are Submissions and Slashers, episode number 58. We'll be right back. All right, people. Episode 58, Submissions and Slashers podcast, man. It is Sunday. It is late. I just got out of the screening for a game. A very, very funny, somewhat silly, but way deeper and more introspective than I would have assumed, Off Ramp, which is the movie about 2 juggalos making their way to the gathering of the juggalos and kind of running into some mishaps after that. I'm going to give a little bit more thoughts and insights on that as I talk about some of the films from today, mixed in with tomorrow's films and Tuesday and Wednesday's films. So that'll be part of the second half. So the first half, so I got up on Thursday. They had a couple events that were going on. They had the event for Last Drive-In. Unfortunately, Joe Bob Briggs didn't make it, but there was a wonderful Joe Bob impersonation by Joe Lynch. Joe Bob's assistant, Darcy, she did make her way into Kansas City, and the fans, of course, were ecstatic to see her. I didn't get a chance to see it because once I got to my Airbnb, I needed to kind of get situated with some things and kind of figure out my locale, because I had never stayed over on this side of Kansas City, Kansas, KCK before. So I had to kind of check out the surroundings. And I apologize if there's some beeps or something that happens during the course of this recording. But there is some machine in this Airbnb that I can't figure out if it's coffee maker or something. I think it may be a clock on the dishwasher. There's a beep that just kind of keeps happening since I've been here. But like I said, got up here Thursday. Just try to get the lay of the land. It's been a while since I've been up to KC too, so it was just nice to really just get my butt up here as fast as I could and just kind of settle in, hit the store real quick, do what I need to do. But the first night went without problem, of course, from everything that I heard when I walked up in on Friday. I did stop by Thursday night, got my badge on Thursday night, saw some people that were hanging out, getting ready to go see the opening night film of Sting. You know, yours truly, we saw Sting. We got an interview. Do we have an interview coming up with I believe we do have an interview coming up with the filmmaker from Sting. We got some interviews on the way. I know we got a bunch of them on the way. I got to jump back in my calendar, but didn't hear too many things from people on Sting. I thought it was going to be a little bit more noise about the film, but I also didn't see the turnout, so I'm not exactly sure how many people attended. But I mean, it showed me, as a person who's covered Panic Fest pretty much from my couch from the past couple years and from my home office for the past couple years. This is the first time that I've really been able to come up here and actually experience the festival. And man, it's like probably the most laid back festival I've ever been to. Fanfare is not even it's like non-existent. People are just here to see some movies, have some laughs, eat some popcorn, and some grilled cheese sandwiches. And I'm down. Like I'm enjoying that aspect of it. It's nice to be in something not as overwhelming at times, where you get to really dig in. And and when they have good films to watch too, it always helps. And Tim, Adam, everybody involved, Eric, John, all the hosts, everybody you guys are all doing a great job. The selection of the films have been fantastic. So it shows why this is a strong festival in regards to the selection of the films year by year, because they do get a nice amount of very, very powerful independent films coming through here. Speaking of, let's see, just kind of to round off a couple of the first half thoughts. Got a chance to finally stop down and rewind video. That was nice, man. That place, it's nice, man. I understand the charm. I see the appeal. I would totally hang out there if I had one in my neighborhood. I might go start one just because I feel like we need one. But I love the downstairs look of it. Everywhere you go, you got to have a bar, and they got some theme stuff that goes with their bars. So it's cool, man. It does add such a different vibe to the overall Screenland Armour experience, and then to have that as a second venue for the festival has been a nice little treat. So as a person who's been wanting to get in that rewind video space for a while downstairs, don't call me out, KC people. Like I said, I haven't been up here in a minute. It's happy to finally get down there, see all the DVDs, see all the Blu-rays, see the VHS, see the video games, see the blood bag Slurpee drinks that seem to be pretty popular amongst people down there as well. So everything so far has been a nice little delightful treat at the festival. So big shout out to everybody involved. And thanks for having us up, because we're enjoying it. Okay. So hope you guys are enjoying this. We're going to jump back out and then come in and quickly talk about the films that we've watched so far. So you don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Make sure you hit those likes, comment if you need to, subscribe. Submissions and Slashers, Horror Movies Uncut. You know the drill. We'll be right back. Okay, people, welcome back. Submissions and Slashers, episode 58. One of the first films that we dropped out review-wise is this crazy entry called Cannibal Mukbang. The young lady, I believe her name is Michelle. Amy Cooge. Yeah. Amy Cooge stars April Kinsella, Nick Wise, Clavon Klarlowitz. Yeah, Cannibal Mukbang is a lot of fun. So if you don't know what mukbang is this South Asian kind of fetish, food porn, if you may, that usually just involves like very, very famous, popular, beautiful people over there eating copious amounts of food. And it's something that was started a long time ago. It's still kind of popular over there, and kind of with everything, it makes its way west from places like that, and it kind of creates its own world. And this film is a very creative take on that entirety, but what it also is just a great take on just like relationships and trust, and how being vulnerable is something that we all have. And it's a really, really cute cannibal film that really reminded me of Once Bitten, which was a vampire film actually that starred Jim Carrey, because it really just kind of showed the dynamics of more of a like a powerful woman being able to bring this kind of loser guy into her world and be happy that he understands her world, but then his insecurities start to cause drama, and then whenever you find out why he's got the insecurities, it makes sense. But the gore is great. The acting's a lot of fun. The characters are fantastic. We gave it a 3.5 out of 5. And it's definitely one of the films out of Panic Fest you should watch. And this is one of the ones that was on the virtual side of it. So we got a chance to see it even before we got up to the festival. So we were happy to get that one in as soon as possible. Another film that we've been wanting to watch for a very long time, because we saw it being played in some other festivals. We didn't get a chance to see it until recently, which is this weekend at Panic Fest, is Property, which is a Brazilian film. And I apologize to all the Brazilian people that we offended by calling it a Portuguese film, because I didn't know the hate for Portugal was that visceral. But to be honest with you, at that moment of writing the review, the reason why I used Portuguese was just really just mentioning the language more than it being a Brazilian film. But yes, it is a Brazilian film, and it's an amazing film by Daniel Bandeira, which shows just how vulnerable and fragile we can be as humans, especially after dealing with such a horrific incident. The young lady that is the character of focus, Teresa, is portrayed by Malu Galia. I apologize if I am destroying your name. This beautiful woman was fantastic in the movie, and she really just captures the essence of what you want to see from a leading character going through like distress and dealing with so much from the minute you see her on screen. The story itself jumped around a little bit on some parts, but it really was a lot more solid than what we initially thought. And we liked it a lot. We gave it a 3 out of 5. It's going to be a strong film from Dark Sky, and it clearly already has a huge audience, not just from Brazil, but just South America in general, because the minute we posted this review, it went viral and hit all over the place. So kudos to everyone behind this film. All these supporting cast members were fantastic in this movie, especially all the women in here as well. So we were super happy to see Property. It was one of the films that was on our list. We get to check it off. We get to move on. Another one of the virtual films that we saw before we went up to the festival is a little dark comedy by the name of Blind Cop 2. And it's one of these, what I like to call pre-sequels, which is a sequel that is made before the first film's actually made. You have a lot of these that are out these days. It's kind of becoming a thing in independent horror films, and I don't mind it. I appreciate that yes, we are still kind of, I feel, staying in the retro filmmaking world a little bit too much. It's still nice though when people are kind of making fun of some things that we did grow up on. And one thing we know from the 80s and 90s, sequels were just, they ran rampant back then. Um, George Fearling plays Blind Cop, and this guy was great, man. Alec Bonk has to give a lot of love for having this guy as the lead in his film because it just really he gave a lot that made this character work. And it's a little drier in some parts than I wanted it to be, but it didn't slow down too much where I felt that I didn't want to continue on watching the film. Blind Cop 2, it's got a lot of great parts that a lot of people are going to enjoy. Good late night popcorn flick for sure. Could be a little speedier at moments. A little bit too much bro stuff going on in there for me, but it's almost kind of expected when you see a film like this. But once again, though, man, I really enjoyed the performance by George. We gave it a 2.5 out of 5 at HMU, so that means definitely give it a check. Moving on. All Alone Together. Digging a little bit more into supernatural, psychological. The gentleman in the film was very, very good. I like the whole concept of All Alone, that really was about like a movie being made about a movie and the filmmaker going through these anxieties of his film. But then you're kind of finding out that the terrors that are in the film are actually a little bit more real life to him than expected. Very smart writing in this movie, and the performances by the lead character in this film really allowed the writing to flourish on a lot of parts. I think this is a sleeper out of the festival. We gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. There's a lot of potential parts that might not woo so many people, but for what it was, I really think All Alone Together was a very solid entry for Panic Fest. So I'll be keeping an eye out on this one for sure and seeing what type of legs develop, because I think it does have the possibility to get some. So Azrael was kind of one of the large films of the festival. E.L. Katz, don't know if you guys remember him from old school horror movies uncut coverage with Cheap Thrills. Him and Simon Barrett got together to create Azrael, and Simon's just been out there just killing it. I mean, the guy just wrote the new Godzilla, King Kong movie. So to see that they're still working in independent horror and still trying to test the boundaries and the limits of imagination and what people are sitting down to see is a testament to how much these guys just really love what they do, and they're still children at heart, like we all are. Azrael had a lot of stuff that I enjoyed in it. I'm a lore fan. These films speak to me because I, as a person who read a lot of mythology, religious history, things about various cults, and when people are trying to explain certain possible huge events, if you may, it causes me to really kind of dig in a little bit more. This stuff is a little bit more personal to me. When it comes to a film like Azrael, I really enjoyed the storytelling by Simon. I was a little upset at something that was going on with the dead creatures in the film. I wanted a little bit more from that, but I mean, it's hard not to like this film, and I'm gonna for sure watch this again. Man, the performance in the film by the leading lady, Mrs. Samara Weaving, is just no joke. And I think, she's going to, man, the performance she gives is going to really allow herself to stay in the conversation with anything Sydney, Mia Goth, any of these other girls are doing right now in horror. So do not count this woman out. She is alive and well. And the fact that these women love doing horror films is something that you'll hear myself and Johnny Mercer talk about, the assistant director from Ghost Game, in the interview later. And it's one of the things that Simon was talking about Samara, is that these women want to be in these films. It allows them to be badass. They get to do some fight scenes. They get to fight off. It's great. So I'm down. Azrael was great. We gave it a 3 out of 5 horror movies uncut. And it is going to be probably one of the top horror films of the year for most people on their radar. How it will fall for us, we'll probably kind of determine if we give it another couple views or not. But as of right now, it's definitely a very top entry in 2024. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, I don't know what the fuck this is. And that's going to be okay. Going to try to talk to Simon too. If he needs Simon to come back up to the festival on Monday. He needed to go see some family and burnt out, but there's a possibility he might be bumping around the festival on Monday. So if that's the case, then I'll be trying to talk to him tomorrow and get a little bit of Azrael talk about it, because believe me, I'm a dig in, like big facts. Live Screamers is another movie that was kind of under my radar, but when I got a chance to watch it, man, I had no idea even that this was a sequel, but now there is a first one. There is a Live Scream, which came out in 2018. Now that one just followed one guy who was streaming himself, playing this video game, and it had a bunch of people in kind of like a clubhouse chat room, and some things was happening to them. But in this one, this is like a group of gamers. This is a business. This is like a big platform where, these kids are, internet celebrities, and people are writing fan fiction about them and stuff. Well, they are playing this game, and what they don't realize is this game's got so much more involved, and the game starts to lock them into it, like literally. And it becomes one of those survival, like, hey, you're not going to be able to just kind of walk away from this situation. So we really, really, I enjoyed Live Screamers. This is a film for my son. My son is 16, coming up in June. He is a gamer, has been a gamer since I let him play X-Men on my old Sega Genesis console a very, very long time ago. I saw a bunch of people, I think Mary Beth said this, from Dread, and I agree with this wholeheartedly. This is like the Stay Alive of this generation. And for those of you who don't know Stay Alive, please go watch Stay Alive. And it was bound to come into this world. And I'm glad to see it here. And I'm hoping that we get to see another version of this. I mean, if you think about Oculus and stuff like that, I'm expecting more from this franchise. And this is the young lady, Michelle. And I apologize, I'm going to completely destroy her name. I don't know if it's Iana Tuono. But God, really great job on this film. I really enjoyed Live Screamers. The cast was great. We gave this a 3.5 out of 5, man. This is one of our favorites from the festival, and we hope you guys give it a glance. For sure, worth checking out. Ghost Game. 2 more movies to talk about. Ghost Game. Jill 6. The Homie. Second feature. So, look, we gave it a 3 out of 5. We really enjoyed Ghost Game. The main reason why we really enjoyed Ghost Game is because it was more of this really intriguing story of a young black woman that's really trying to find herself, trying to find a place for herself, really trying to find an identity that I think so many of us struggle with. And whether it's CrossFit or podcasting, jujitsu, or cooking or vlogging or frogging or whatever, you never know sometimes what might grab you, and you become a community with it, and it becomes, like I just got finished watching the film about the Juggalos. Like I feel like, the characters Laura and Adrian and those characters in this film, they have that type of community in a sense, but it's a lot more modern. So it's kind of like a weaving of what Live Screamers in the Juggalos film is, because it's a lot more modern, because this is this like GoPro world that we live in, where people are like, showing off these dastardly deeds. And I mean, in all honesty, man, like these people are doing some fucked up shit, man. Like living in, like straight up living in these people's houses. And when you read that stuff in the synopsis, you sit there and you're like, okay, yeah, it's some practical stuff, practical Joker stuff. But, the writing of Adam, the portrayals of the characters by Jill allowed this film to be, to hit way more levels. So it's a step up, in my opinion, in regards to character development. I think some people are probably not going to think it's a step up from the stylist for like horror gore factor. And that's fine, because for me, that shows that Jill Six has got some range. And I personally would really, really enjoy to see her work on some very sinister, dark ass comedy next, or even some badass, just like action flick with a bunch of chicks. Because it's weird how there's always comedy that ends up in these movies, and it seems like it's not intentional, but it just hits in the right moment. And that lets you know that the woman is, and as we all know, a fan of the genre, and she's for sure reminding people that with an entry like Ghost Game. So we gave it a 3 out of 5. So definitely one of the ones to see out of Panic Fest. We know it's playing at Chattanooga. She's got some rumors that I ain't about to tell y'all, because I heard them at a dinner table of some other places it's going to play, but her little short butt ain't going to kick me in the leg. So I ain't saying anything about it. You'll hear about it when we give you the info. All right. So before we get out of this, which is pretty much the longest segment outside of the interview, which is the final segment of this, we're going to talk about a film that we posted the review for today. And this film played down in Overlook Film Festival, which we thought we were going to be covering a couple more films for Overlook, but some of these films are like in both of them, so they're kind of being covered in both. But that is the monster creature flick from Benjamin Brewer, starring Nicolas Cage, and that is Arcadian. Arcadian, we enjoy tremendously. We think it's going to be one of the better horror films of the year. We think it has a lot of mainstream appeal to it. And if people saying, hey, it's a great role for Nicolas Cage, kind of bringing them back. When they see the movie, I think they'll be thinking otherwise, because the performances by the two young men, the two young standouts in this film of Jaden Martell and Maxwell Jenkins, man, like these two young fellas kill it. The monsters are no joke, man. And like, I'm going to be sitting here for days trying to figure out what these creatures truly are, but they are some, for sure, nightmare manifestation of what could happen when you bring a hybrid of rodent, of insect, of bird, of every single thing in nature that would survive an apocalypse. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine putting that all together, and that's the type of monster that's created for this film. And I think it'll probably rub some people the wrong way, but I think some people will be like, man, that actually was kind of cool. So I'm curious to see how this is going to do box office wise when it hits theaters this upcoming weekend, Thursdays, when it's going to really start to give us an indication of what people think. There's been some decent reviews. Overwhelmingly people thinking it's a sleeper hit, and I can see why. But the performance of the young cast in this film is great. And for an era, or not even, I won't even say an era, just like a moment in 2024 where most of the apocalyptic horror films are kind of involving religion and Satan, really. It's nice to just have something kind of return back to, your monster movies, your Mole Man movies, your Omega Man movies, your Last Man on Earth movies, your I Am Legend, movies. So this film is placed in those catalogs, and it fits there, and it deserves to be there because I thought Arcadian was very well done. So, all right, we're going to jump out. Come back with that exclusive interview with the homie Johnny Mercer, Ghost Game, what we just talked about. He's going to give us a little bit more behind the scenes insight of what was being done there. The streets of Kansas City, loud right now. I don't know, this area that I'm in, man, these dudes been drag racing, all types of stuff, man. I've been out looking at them all dang night. But we're going to come back, give you that exclusive interview, and then wrap up the show. Episode number 58, Submissions and Slashers, man. I'm on fumes right now, people. Don't go anywhere. I still got pro wrestling, WrestleMania stuff I got to watch. Don't go anywhere, people. We'll be back to wrap this up.
The Army, they launched a surprise attack and took the president of Mexico as a hostage. They kidnapped his ass.
I bet all that time running upstairs just to getting y'all now was like well spent.
Make a 15-day shoot movie. So, it says supported by the Arts Council. They had no fucking idea I was making this movie. They're still a bit embarrassed about it because they don't really make horror movies. They make experimental documentaries and shit. And I'm like, yeah, but this is getting a much wider audience. So, we have a little bit of support. The actual film funding body in Ireland, when I showed them my film and asked them if they give me some money.
Paige.
Yep.
Paige for West Leeson.
Correct.
So you're the conductor of a trolley. And on one side...
Michael, how was it to perform in this house? And, what were some of the highlights and then some of the challenges? Amazing. And that all starts 12 years ago when I met Jill Gavargazian in June of 2012. In February of 2013, I stepped foot into this theater for the first time when Jill hosted a screening of a feature that I co-wrote and co-directed called Dead Weight. And from that moment,
I was thinking about that too, but it was like we got a bunch of favors, like here.
So it's or 2023, my apologies. So yeah, man, it's been a while. It's
Long time coming.
Yeah.
So you are an East Coast guy. Frederick, Maryland is where you from. All right, so first and foremost, your boy's a Steelers fan. Are you a Ravens fan? I mean, it's kind of hard not to be, right? It's kind of hard. Yeah. But let me save myself hopefully real quick, okay? Yeah. Been a Cal Ripken, Baltimore Orioles fan my entire life. We good, Dan?
Yes,
we good?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, one of the best stadiums in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I appreciate
Big fact. We're going to do a little switch.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All right, cool. All right, so Ghost Game, like most of the people from Horror Movies Uncut, they've already got an idea of what's going on with Ghost Game because right before we came up here, we did a one-on-one interview with Jill. But now talking to you, like, Johnny, I'm curious, tell me a little bit about your initial kind of vibe and feeling once this project was kind of placed in front of you and how did you come to be a part of the team for Ghost Game?
Okay, yeah. So, I worked for a little company out in Frederick, Maryland, Cinematic Productions, and so I've worked with them on and off for about 10 years now. And we, our buddy who produced this, Carlo Glorioso, who runs Cinematic, he got into a deal with Epic Pictures.
Okay.
Who's part of Dread Central.
For sure. Big shout out to Mary Beth.
Exactly.
Andrews
Mary
and
Beth
the fam.
is great. Yes.
Also
Mary Beth.
producer credits on the film
Yes,
as well.
yes.
We wish you were here, lady.
Yeah, Mary Beth is great. I love her. And she, so we had to deal with them. We weren't sure how many films we were going to get to do, but we knew we were going to get to at least do a handful. We started kind of strong with Satanic Hispanics and Ed. I got to first AD for Ed for the first time after knowing him for a while, so that was a great
Horror Movie
experience.
Uncut audience, very familiar with that.
Yeah.
We talked to Gigi, Ed, Yo, we talked to everybody.
Oh, yeah,
Mike
dude.
Mendez, big shout out.
It was a great time,
and
man.
huge shout out to Mr. Damien Runga, who killed everybody last year with Evil Lurks. You know what I mean?
That was a great experience, and that kind of kicked off coming back from COVID. That kind of kicked off our spur of films. We did 5 films in 2 summers. So Jill's was our 3rd film.
Okay.
Sorry, our 4th film.
Okay.
And so when I got that at that point, that was our biggest, with the same budget, our biggest film yet. So me being the AD, it's my responsibility to start breaking the script down, finding all the elements. What is it going to take to actually make this film a possibility and a reality? So very early on, I was a little worried. I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot. It was like 120 plus scenes when you especially scenes that like people don't even think about. So like all the stuff that were on the screens that you see, like those are scenes that aren't like in the script, but like it's a whole scene that we had to go shoot at, like someone in a shower, like all this kind of stuff that like very quickly we knew that we were gonna need like another unit to help break off. So we hired one of like a great cameraman and DP in and of himself, Seth. He came in and killed it and shot a lot of that like BTS stuff that you see, like the rat, like on the bed, like all that kind of stuff that we needed, that he could kind of go ebb and flow with us. So like if we were upstairs, he'd be shooting some stuff in the basement for us or back and forth, and that kind of really saved us with time.
It sounds like from even hearing like Emily Bennett, who stars in the film, talking in the Q&A, you know, and you know, how dare y'all put that beautiful redhead woman in the bathtub laying without no clothes on, first off. You know what I mean? But my biggest thing that I'm like, when you're doing that, it sounds like you guys almost had like 2 films almost being done at the same time, and she kind of mentioned that. Like it was almost like she didn't want to know really what was going on other times of the films, because there was so much that was just invested on where they were in the particular parts of the film. Was that kind of a common theme throughout the entire shoot, where it was almost like multiple movies being shot at once? It actually very
much was. So especially me and my AD team were responsible for getting the actors kind of to and from set and make sure they're good. So I remember very early on Emily kind of making it a point that she wanted to have a little bit of seclusion when it came to the other like half of the film. Our Ghost Game gang, as we started calling
Ghost Game gang?
Yeah, our Ghost Game gang.
Ghost Game gang.
Yeah.
Where the t-shirts at? Brand that shit, fam.
Yeah.
Always branded.
So we, so very on, I was like, okay, my second, who I love, his name's Lincoln. I was like, look, this is kind of like where we're at. This one.
Oh, you good.
This is kind of where we're at. Like, we always are adapting to each production. You have to. So this is just another thing that we had to adapt to. And I was like, look, let's keep them separate. This is going to be good for the film overall. Let's help make that rift between them. Let's help divide them up. So that way, on screen it helps translate. And that's a lot of things that people don't necessarily recognize when it comes to making films, is how much of from the director and then down the line is like an emotional political game. Like, you want to keep people happy, but also at times you want to kind of put them in uncomfortable situations so that way it translates on set. And how much of that do you want to let them know that you're doing versus you kind of just want to test the waters and see like what you can get away with.
Facts.
And yeah, so that's always a beautiful, like, delicate balance. But this was something that very early on, an actor, Emily, came up to me and I was like, you know what, that's beautiful. That's not only am I going to give you what you need, but that's something that's going to help service the film in the long run. So of course, so we helped kind of facilitate a little bit of that divide and kind of kept them separate on purpose, for sure, off camera especially.
That's what's up. Yeah. So, I mean, everybody's going to talk about this house, right? And like, look, we live in a real transparent world.
Yeah.
IMDb, Letterboxd. I mean, even walking out of the film, you already have people giving rates, reviews,
course, yeah.
Whatever the case, man. That's part of the business. You understand this, right? But for a person like me, man, I'm more about what's going on behind the scenes. So when you see a house like that, I'm sorry, that shit's haunted, dog. Like, regardless on if you believe in ghosts or if you don't believe in ghosts, you step inside of a house like that, you're in a place, you guys are putting work in, you guys are bringing your own energy into a house like that. Talk to me real quick about some challenges. And you and I would love for you to kind of talk about what you and I talked about with Kia.
Of course,
and some of the challenges that even that beautiful, Kia, if you can hear me, beautiful black woman.
Right? She's fucking amazing.
Yeah, awesome job in the film. So tell me some of the challenges that you deal with a house of that structure, a house of that magnitude, and like in real talk, man, did you feel anything while you guys were in there? Did you guys actually feel like possibly you were being watched? Did you feel like there may have been some actual true ghost activity going on in that house?
The most like that I felt personally like kind of eared out and creepy was when we were doing like the location scouts before kind of the madness started.
Right.
Because very quickly, once like we're filming, especially for me, I'm so stressed about making our day that kind of like, if there's a ghost, I ain't even looking anyway. You know what I mean? I've got my head.
He's like, I don't want to know what the fuck is over there.
Like, unless you got something that
everybody's looking there, you're like, I'm not looking there, dog.
Yeah. So unless the ghost has some helpful advice, then it can kind of sit down. But no, very early on, I know there's a funny a clip that Jill took of us, kind of our first night. We went out just to see. It was a full moon. We kind of wanted to get like a sense of what it would look like at night.
Oh, y'all set tripping, man. So y'all out here playing with some stuff you don't understand,
exactly.
Johnny.
So I took her out there, and we went back the next day, and we just wanted to see like if anything had changed, especially in that basement. And we walked around back, and the basement door it was locked previously, and now it was ajar, and it was like, damn, that's creepy. Like somebody. Whatever it was, even if it was like someone without a home going in there, it's still like, it's eerie to know that someone or something was there that like you were just there a couple hours before.
Right.
So that was always kind of sketchy. Yeah, and for me, I was often the one that would get there early and close up late. So I'm locking the place up by myself. Like, let me tell you, even if there's still people there, being at that tower, or like on the third floor, and people are down, like that's a lot of stairs to take. You know,
man.
Like, it's a distance, and
it's a massive house, massive structure. It's one of the things that I talked about with Jill in the interview, that it creates its own character of itself in the film. Okay, so when you're wrapping up a movie like this, and everybody's finally kind of getting everything that they need situated, when you guys kind of 3, 2, 1 break, what's the next job you have to do? Because I know, you know, normally actors, actresses, they move on to their next project. And a lot of times, even the filmmakers, the DPs, they already got their next contracted project. But for the guys like you who are the ones kind of creating the projects and finding the next ones to work on, like what was the thing that you did? Or did you just say, you know what, man, I'm about to just go back to the crib, kick my feet up for a couple days, or was it just straight back to grind mode?
It's definitely, especially on these lower budgets, we tend to wear a lot of hats. So I'm one of the earliest people on a project, and then one of the last ones to leave a project as well. And so right after we started doing cleanup, I mean, this is somebody's home that they had bought and we're planning to restore, so we kind of had a little bit of a window that they were allowing us to be in there. So we wanted to treat everything respectfully and take care of the house as much as possible. So as soon as we were done, we were loading out, we were getting we put so much like art department killed it in there. All those spider webs, all that stuff that made it look old.
Yeah.
The house didn't look old walking in. Like they had shampooed the carpets and everything.
Yeah.
And then we went back in and made it look old again.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, so art department, Jen Davis and her partner, they absolutely.
Well, I'm sure
killed it.
that's kind of okay though, because at least the house is safe enough for you guys to work in.
Exactly,
And then you can just
exactly.
make the shit look terrifying.
Exactly, yeah.
Instead of it
So
actually being terrifying
It was
as
a
fuck.
clean mess.
Yeah.
Exactly. We didn't have our actors actually going through spider webs.
Right.
Creepy tunnels.
Right.
But no, even like that stuff in the wall, like where our characters going behind the wall, like we shot that in the shed that you see eventually, like all the cameras are set up.
Right, yeah.
Like we had a wall facade that we shot all that in just to make sure everything was like extra safe.
That's what's up.
Because
That's
it
what's
is
up.
an old house. We don't want any kind of mistakes, just in case, you know.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Johnny, man, I appreciate your time, bro. You know,
Yeah,
we can
of
sit
course.
here and chat about this stuff. We here.
Yeah, anytime.
How much longer are you here at the festival? And is there anything that you're like excited also to see yourself?
Yeah.
What,
Yeah, so
what you
I
got?
saw Simon Barrett's film last night.
Azrael.
That was-
Yeah,
yes,
we posted
Azrael.
a review for it. Yeah, what you think, man?
I
What you
loved
think?
it, dude. It was definitely, it's one hell of a ride. for
Isn't it
sure.
crazy that those motherfuckers are also making Godzilla, King Kong movies?
Right,
It's like, what
exactly.
the fuck? Like, does that mean we old now, dog?
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there talking to you know, homeboy Doug Wick in town.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there talking to him, and I'm like, wait a minute. The dudes who we were all kicking it with watching Your Next
Yeah.
years and years ago
I know.
are now making fucking
King
Godzilla
Kong,
movies
yeah,
and
it's
shit, but they're
crazy.
still making films like Azrael,
Yeah.
man. Is that what you do this for? Is that why you still do? Is that why you're
of
in
course,
this?
man. Yeah, like, here's the thing. If especially these low budget films, like, if you don't still have the love for the craft and for filmmaking as a whole, like, you're gonna fade out quick because it's hard. Like, it is
Yeah.
hard to make any film of any size, but these shoestring budget films are definitely a challenge. So if you're not in it for the love, then you're not gonna be in it for long.
I think another thing that's dope too is we got all these like alpha hardcore ass women out there that
Yeah.
want to be in some badass shit.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I know they talked about last night was how Weaving was like, I want to be in horror films, and then you see a girl like how you guys got Emily.
Yeah.
She's already been in a few horror films that I watch. I want to see Kia and more stuff.
He is so good.
Like, I think
can't
that
say
helps
enough.
tremendously because these women, I mean, even somebody at the top of the food chain, like a Sydney Sweeney doing Immaculate and
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
these women want to be in these films.
Yeah, it puts
and I
them
think
in,
that
in, like,
actually.
roles of power.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
okay.
Like, it's one of the few genres where like women can, like, everyone loves the last girl. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of become like a little bit of a cliche in the genre. But
The
like,
final
for good
girl is now
purpose,
the
you know what I mean?
final
Yeah, like,
final piece of everything in the film.
Yeah, like, it's great though, because like horror tends to be like the female's action role.
Right.
So like that's where they get to be badasses.
Right.
Where they get to fight back and say like, we're
And
not
we ain't
the
trying to
big-
say
yeah.
that when they playing mamas and shit in movies, they ain't also being
No,
badass.
exactly, yeah. I
we
mean,
ain't trying to say that.
yeah.
Don't come after my
Yeah,
boy.
exactly.
Don't come after
Yeah.
my boy.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I mean, like, they get to be the action star that like we got to grow up with, like Schwarzenegger, and, like all those types of people were.
Hey man,
Rambo,
but
and,
I
like,
tell people though, Cynthia Rothrock was a huge inspiration for me in the fighting world. You know
Yeah.
that, and she's still teaching
Oh, yeah,
kung fu
dude.
classes and stuff right
Yeah.
now. Bridget
man,
Nielsen's.
yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's great to see, especially bigger stars like still want to do horror because
Yeah.
it's something that horror already is a gateway for women to kind of get in
Mm-hmm.
and kind of flex their muscles, especially. But
And we know the dudes want to do it. We all
yeah,
like
of
dudes
course,
always
yeah,
want to be in
yeah,
horror
we
movies.
want to be in bloody stuff.
Right,
yeah,
of course.
That's,
Like,
that's
we,
cool, you know
right,
what I mean?
exactly.
But like for them to get to like for part of the genre to automatically put women in a role of power is so great, and then you have women who have kind of exceeded that
Right.
and are now like willing to step back in and stay in that horror realm and be like champions of the role, and
Right.
they want other aspiring actresses to kind of do the same. It's awesome, dude.
And it's great because like guys like you, Eduardo, oh God, what's my homeboy's name? Little short bald head guy, does all the VHS films. He's the East Coast dude too. My bad. I'll edit this and
Well,
put it
yeah,
back
we'll
in
put
there.
it in there.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
It's nice to see that you know these women are also y'all homies and y'all are helping. Like you guys are opening doors for them. You guys are also helping make sure they're getting their films financed. The shit that you guys know is like the hardest things to do in this industry. It's legit because now it's starting to become a lot more family oriented and not so much just like the boys club.
Of course,
you know, and I feel like we do need that shit these days.
Yeah,
so.
man, it's great. And yeah, Ghost
In
Game
front,
is
behind, I mean, you guys have it in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, and
this was
surrounding.
actually my first time working with a female director, so it was actually, that was like a whole new aspect
That's beautiful,
we could
man.
dive into. But it was a great fucking opportunity to kind of sit back and be like, what do you need, and how can I help create your vision? And just the way that that's translated differently is it opened up my whole world on how to also translate better to my actors and my crew and shit like that.
Big facts.
It's a beautiful thing, man. I wish I worked for more female directors.
That's what's up, man. Well,
Yeah,
hopefully we'll
bro.
see you working with some more in the future here, bro. Johnny, I appreciate you, man. Last question I always give, and I don't care what anybody says. I'm the first person to ask this question in the industry. What's one thing you really, really hope people take away after they get finished seeing Ghost Game?
Careful what you wish for, man.
Yeah, man. Damn, I love that.
Because I think every character is kind of wishing for something different.
Right.
And they kind of all get it or don't get it in some pretty gruesome ways.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Black women, go see this movie.
Hell yeah.
You need to.
Kia.
Go support Kia, support
My
Jill,
girl.
support everybody
Yes.
in this film.
Yes.
Johnny, appreciate you, fam. Be talking to you on the next one, I'm sure, my dude.
Yes, sir.
All right, people, welcome back. Episode 58, Submissions and Slashers. Travis, make sure to follow us as always at HMUNCUT. People, thank you for all your support. Website has been blowing up in the past couple weeks. That's why we're making sure we're getting this coverage. That's why we come up here to Kansas City to make sure we got that Panic Fest, that Overlook Film Festival coverage for you guys, because we're keeping it going. And then we will crawl back to the lovely city of St. Louis. I'm not gonna say 100% no. Of course, still kind of waiting on what films will be playing there. But I do have a feeling we will be remotely covering Chattanooga Film Festival from home. Last year was fantastic. I loved going down there. We brought back, I got American Meltdown. We saw so many good films down there. Great shorts down there also. After Hours, big shout out. But we got some business in St. Louis for the UFC coming up in May. So that is going to be kind of the next big focus for the family. And for the people who know me, know Horror Movies Uncut, Valkyrie Fitness, we got a big family. So we got some stuff coming up. So, but anyway, man, we had to get our butt up here, Panic Fest. It's been such a long time of us covering this festival. First half is definitely in the books. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Johnny. Johnny, appreciate you. Hope you guys enjoyed also that little Panic Fest little video that I made to kind of give you guys a couple looks at the first few days. People, will be back to wrap up this festival. We got Boy Kills World. We got all types of film. We got about 6 more films we need to see. I got a little ride around KC things I need to go take care of before I get out of here as well. I mean, any barbecue. I got like one of the best barbecue spots right around the corner from me. Big shout out to this place called Slaps. I don't even know how good y'all are. The homie Adam Roberts, big shout out Tim, Adam over there at Panic Fest. Adam told me it's one of his friends' places. There has been a line around the corner since I've been at my Airbnb for this place. So I need to go over there tomorrow and get me some lunch before I see my first films. People, I'll be back with more reviews, more behind the scenes. Make sure to stay on the social media. I'm sorry, I'm not posting a lot of things, primarily because it has been very windy. So I am trying to get as much stuff that I can do without the wind. But we'll be popping some stuff out on the social media tomorrow and the next few days as the festival starts to wind down. These next 3 days are a little bit more easier with the festival, so look for us to kind of rev up everything with the rest of the coverage. Episode number 58 in the books, people. Follow, like, subscribe. Hit us up at HMUNCUT. We appreciate you. We are done. We are out. Panic Fest. We are still here. We'll be back. Deuces.